What's going on, you bunch of heretics? Welcome to today's episode of Heresy is My Therapy. Today is a bit of a multi-part episode with different kind of average angles that we're going. But as the title suggests, this is all about using black contrast paints, and now we can get the most of our black contrast paints, how we use them, manipulate it to the way we want it to look on the model. You know I've used black contrast paints, specifically Black Templar, Black Legion, and how I use these on many models to get the kind of effect that I want. So today it's all about how to use black contrast paints. What we're also going to be doing is taking away from the Warhammer world, we're going over to Knight models for their Batman miniatures game. Bruce Wayne, no, it is Batman Thomas Wayne, in a really cool alternating universe where unfortunately it's Bruce Wayne who is killed, not Thomas, sorry. So we're going to be using that model. It's a really cool model from Knight models. So we're going to use that, which kind of makes sense. The Dark Knight makes complete sense that we'd be using Batman for our model of choice. Also, furthermore, I've been sent out some really cool dry brushes from Grey to Play as part of their new Desolation series that will be being released on the 15th of January. And I'll put a little link in the description below to find out how you can learn more about these brushes. I apologise, it's a very long introduction, and I do apologise, but today I'll be using those brushes today and kind of giving a bit of feedback on how they're used. And of course, we'll be using the Knight models Batman from their Batman miniatures game. Right, introduction done. Let's get our black contrast paints and let's apply it to this model. Enjoy. Right, here he is, our Chaos Black primed Batman from Knight models. Love this model, love this pose, really cool Batman. We've got our wet palette, we've got our Lamia medium, we've got our paint pot, we've got our Desolation brushes from Grey to Play, and we've also got some paper as well. Prime black, good to go. So as always, we're going to start with our Administratum Grey. We really want to make sure that we get a good baseline before we start to apply our black paint. So like I say, a really good baseline on this. So as always, we're going to take some paint, put it on our brush and take absolutely loads of it off. We're going to apply small circles, and we're going to do about 2 layers of this small circles absolutely everywhere and all over the model. This is going to give us a really good baseline, and it's also going to allow the contrast paints to sit nicely on the model and create the highlights and the depths that we're after. So small circles with the Administratum Grey absolutely all over the model. And then we get a clean dry brush and just take off the excess paint as well. As you can see there, I've got 2 layers, good to go, ready for our all-time grey. So same again, we really want to now focus the all-around grey on those areas where the light would be catching. Alright, so same again, plenty off the brush, and then we're going to be placing it on the model. So again, big circles into little circles, just on the areas where the light is going to be shining. No need to go underneath it. Okay, so just where the light's catching, we want to get a really good amount of paint on this. Again, make sure that when you are doing this, take all that paint off the dry brush and then just slowly build those layers up. And again, 2 layers is all you're really going to need with this. As before, we get our clean dry brush and we just take off all that excess paint off the model, just so that it gives it a nice clean baseline. And there we are. As you can already see, the light and the highlights already settling nicely, ready for our white scar. You know it. And it's the same routine again, this time with our Desolation brush. I'm using the small brush from this, and again, getting some white paint on the brush, taking it absolutely all off, and now we're just really kind of focusing on those final like sort of areas where the light will be touching. So again, on his chest, on his hood, the tops of his shoulders, the tops of the arm, tops of the knees and the legs, and across those parts of the model. So yeah, again, just little bits on the cape as well, just where the light will just be shining, just to really give that contrasting effect. It was the zenithal type base that we're trying to create. And again, we're just going to get our clean dry brush and just take all of that paint off it. And there he is, ready to go. Right, first things first, we're going to get our basilicum grey. This is really going to give us the sort of initial tone that we want. You don't want to go straight on with the black. We want like something underneath it to allow it to set on nicely. And with this, all I'm doing, I'm just going a bit of a 50-50 mix of basilicum grey and my Lamian medium. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this all over the model. Okay, so it's going to go all over the model, and I'm going to do 2 to 3 layers. Basilicum grey has almost like it has a bit of a brownish hue in it, which is really nice. But you're going to want about 2 or 3 layers of this. Don't go straight from the paint pot on there. We want to build the layers up bit by bit. Okay, and as you can see, we're going to go all over that cloak, absolutely everywhere, all over the model with this basilicum grey. And again, you know, allow the paint to kind of just settle, move it around plenty. And as you can see there, that's 2 or 3 layers. And there's 3 layers now applied onto the model that I want to be in with that the baseline for our black. So with the black, then we're going to be using Black Legion. Okay, Black Legion. This is a very heavy black I've mentioned many times before. With Black Legion, we want to make sure that we do get, again, a 50-50 mix with this, with our Lamian medium and our Black Legion. Don't go straight from the pot onto more, because you're going to get blotchiness and it's just not going to look right. So when we're using our black contrast paints, this is where we want to keep it nice and thin, and we just build the layers on top of that basilicum grey. Or if you were using something like Terradon turquoise, it would be the same sort of process before. That basilicum grey just gives it that initial sort of like baseline colour for the black then to go on top. And again, we're going to do 2 or 3 layers, probably 2 layers at the most, because Black Legion, when it sets and it dries, it's very dark. Okay, so it's really important that when we're doing this on those areas that we want to make black, as you can see, I've got the cape, the hood, the gloves, the boots. They're all going to be in the black to get that little bit of a contrast between his suit and his kind of his gloves, boots, and cape. The belt's going to be done in red, and then we'll do that in a little bit. And as you can see, you can already see that difference there. But again, it's just a simple case of moving the paint around. Don't let it dry and pool. We're going to move the black around and make sure it's well mixed with our Lamian medium. We're not going to go straight from the pot onto the model. Always going to put it onto our palette first, mix it with our Lamian medium, and then apply it onto it. Keep the brush wet every 10 to 15 seconds. Just change it up, and then we'll go from there. So this is now we're going to move on for the rest of the model for those that want to continue on. I've just got my Blood Angels red or Flesh Terrors red, and again I'm just going to a little bit of a 50-50 mix of Lamian medium and my red, and all I'm simply going to do is just two thin coats of this onto the model. The keen-eyed amongst you will have seen that the basing is getting done at the same sort of time, and again you can start to put your basing in as the model while the model's drying in your own good time. So I've not really done anything to do with the basing. I'll let you guys crack on with your own sort of way. But again, it's 2 thin coats of the red onto all of his belt kit, like the box art. Next up, we're going to get our Cygor brown, and all we're going to do, we're just going to do it again, a very thin wash. So again, 2 parts Lamian medium or 50-50 onto our wet palette. So 50-50 mix, nice and thin, and all we're going to do is apply like a very simple wash. 1 layer is all we're going to need onto all of that red belt kit that he's wearing. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see now that the model has started to dry, and you can really see the contrast difference between that grey and that black, and how they've just settled in nicely with each other. If you feel like you need to, you can always just go a little bit darker with the black again, and really get it down. As always with the models that we do on the channel, we're going to add our Xandri dust Xandri Dust dry brush. So again, we don't want to go too heavy with this. Remember what I said before, we always put some on the dry brush and we take absolutely everything off, and we're just going to feather dust this onto the model. It just gives it, just takes away any sort of like blotchiness there may be, and just adds like a slight highlight onto the model, and just kind of gives a bit more of an earthy look to it. Okay, earthy and dusty look, not always clean. Batman's fighting in Gotham City, it's never always a clean city, is it? So that's what we're just trying to do there. But again, don't go too heavy with it. The light is obviously just making this look a little bit sort of lighter than what it would be. But again, this just helps with the black, gives it a bit more an earthy feel to it. But later on, if you want to, just go with a bit of Nuln Oil, which we will do in a bit anyway. Okay, and there he is there. Okay, next up is what like I say, we're carrying on with the model. We're just getting some Bazar Gold, and all we're going to do is just the handle and the hilt. We're just going to apply a thin coat or 2 thin coats of Bazar Gold onto those areas. Good to go. Nice and simple, 2 thin coats, Bazar Gold on the handle, and then on to the hilt of the sword as well. Quite like the whole sword thing, it's pretty cool. Yes, this Thomas Wayne thing is it's very, very cool, I have to say, in an alternate universe where unfortunately Bruce didn't quite make it, but Tom did. Okay, next up, like I say, we've got our Nuln Oil, and this is what we're going to use now, just to kind of deepen that liquid talent that we always talk about. We're just going to place it a bit more around the back sign. Again, liquid talent, the Nuln Oil does a really good job of just really sitting in the recesses really nicely. And again, we're just going to go a little bit into the shoulder pads and those darker areas, or the deeper areas. We're just going to apply a little bit of Nuln Oil into those areas just to kind of add that contrast to it. Okay, next up, just for the sword, this is Grey Knight Steel. It's just got like a really nice blue hue to it, a bit like the box art really here. And all we're going to do is just a couple of thin coats onto 2 thin coats, as always, onto the sword. Swing! There we go, like that. Onto the model, as easy as that. Again, 2 thin coats, both sides. That's what you're really going to need for that. Agrex Earthshade. It speaks for itself, doesn't it? You know where it's going to go. It's going to go on the areas we've painted the gold, or the bronze, if you will. And again, liquid talent, Agrex Earthshade, it just sits in the recesses nicely and lets the kind of edge highlights come through naturally. Like I say, just a thin coat of that straight onto those areas that we've done gold. Next, I've got my Cadian Flesh tone, and all I'm simply doing here is just a very, very, like I say, the usual way that we do this. Just pop it, again, 2 thin coats, around the mouth area, and then we'll add our Gillman Flesh tone afterwards. Okay, so like I say, just around the mouth area, on his chin, like we do for most of the skin on the channel. Again, like I say, 2 thin coats is all you'll need for this. Next up, we're going to get our Stormhost Silver, and this is really all we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit on our small dry brush, take it all off, and all the areas that we've done metallics on, we're just going to just do a very, very light dry brush over those metallic areas. Again, make sure it all comes off. You don't want to overdo this. And again, just very simple, nice and simple, very lightly doing it. We always go light, don't go heavy, don't put too much pressure on. We're just feather dusting with the dry brush all the time, and we build from there should we need to. Okay, that's all dried. We get our Gillman Flesh tone, and all we're simply going to do is straight from the pot, a little bit on the palette, and then all we're going to do is just literally just sit that into the recesses around the face. It's as simple as that, and it will just sit very, very nicely. Gillman Flesh tone is really great for really simple, quick skin work. Cadian Flesh tone, a little bit of the Gillman Flesh, and a dab of Kislev Flesh to finish it off. So like I say here, we've got our Kislev Flesh, and this is really, really just a quick way of just doing a bit of faces. A little bit onto your palette, and all we're going to do is just literally highlights where the light would be, and we're just going to just dot those into place on the chin, around the cheeks. Again, just as a little bit of a nice little additive to make the model stand out a little bit more. And there he is, all done and complete. Remember some points there, okay, with our model and using our blacks. It's always really good to have like a lighter grey or a turquoise underneath before we start putting the black on. Right, so there you go. As you can see, lots of different techniques used there throughout this video. Again, Desolation brushes seem to be really nice, have a good feel to them. Bit more of a stippling brush kind of than anything at all. And I went back to using the Chronicle RPG brush just to kind of get that Xandri dust that we always apply on this channel. The Basilicum Grey, and of course thinning down our black contrast paints and building those layers up, because as you can probably see from your model, it dries very, very dark. So if you go straight from Black Legion out of the pot and onto the model, it's really going to have a huge blotchy sort of like effect on the model, and it won't come out as clean. Whereas small layers, slowly build them up, allow it to settle, and that little bit of Nuln Oil in there just to kind of help it out really works out well. And again, just a little bit over like the Basilicum Grey, just kind of gives it that sort of darkened effect. So that's kind of hopefully helped you out with how you want to get a darker feel to your contrast paint blacks. If you want to use Black Legion, it's the same thing. Black Legion, Black Templar, we're always going to thin those down. So yeah, that's what that hopefully, one, you've been able to paint your Batman, and two, you've been able to create some nice effects with your black contrast paints. If you have found this video useful, please give us a like and leave a comment below. And as always, please subscribe to the channel for plenty more videos to come. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.